Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 8 p.m. on LA56.
A mystery at a popular beach. A man is found critically injured and police are trying to figure out just what happened.
2 arrests in a Pico Rivera murder, and one of the suspects is the victim's own son.
A mama bear and her cubs pay an unexpected visit to a foothill neighborhood, rattling the nerves of some residents and amusing others. Good evening, I'm Giovanna Lotta.
I'm Jory Rand. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56. Santa Monica police have more questions than answers after a critically injured man yells out for help. Police say the man told investigators he was run over. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter has the latest on this mystery at the beach.
A mystery on the beach in Santa Monica after a man is found apparently run over on the sand.
Where the officers found him, there were tire tracks, and our forensics unit came out, and they did all the molding and took photographs.
Authorities say they know it was not a police vehicle, but could possibly have been a city vehicle. The man was found around 6:45 this morning north of the Santa Monica Pier near a parking lot along PCH. Police say a woman heard someone on the beach screaming for help and called 911. When authorities arrived, the man told them he had been hit by a vehicle sometime last night, but gave few other details. Investigators say at this point it's unclear exactly what happened or where the accident apparently occurred.
We're not sure if it actually happened here on the beach or maybe possibly on PCH. We're not even sure if he was hit by a vehicle, so we're treating it as an injured person or possibly collision.
Police say at this point all they know for sure is that the victim was rushed to the hospital. He is undergoing surgery and is now listed in critical condition. In Santa Monica, Leanne Suter, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A break in the murder of a Pico Rivera man who was stabbed to death inside his home. Sheriff's investigators say they have arrested 2 suspects, including the man's own son. They say early Saturday morning, 50-year-old Sergio Gutierrez was stabbed several times inside his home in the 3700 block of Oak Lawn Lane. Gutierrez died at a hospital. Deputies had been looking for the victim's 17-year-old son. Now they say they have him in custody. They also have arrested a second suspect, 18-year-old Jesus Adame. Both were found and detained by Montebello police. Neighbors told Eyewitness News the son has a drug problem and that deputies had been called to the house for prior disturbances.
Now to Koreatown, where police are searching for 2 men wanted for a deadly shooting at a bus stop. It happened early this morning at Wilshire and Western. Police say 2 men approached another man. Words were exchanged. Then one of the men pulled out a gun and fired. A 28-year-old man was pronounced dead at the scene. His name has not yet been released. Police say the suspects took off in a black pickup truck, last seen going west on Wilshire.
There's also a homicide investigation underway in Hawthorne. We're told a man was shot to death after attending a wake for a family member who died last week of natural causes. It happened on the 4000 block of West 138th Street. Investigators are not revealing many details about the case, including the victim's identity. However, anyone with information is urged to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. That's 1-800-222-8477.
We stay in Hawthorne, where there was a hard landing this morning for a plane at the Hawthorne Airport. It was a small plane that was forced to land there with no landing gear. This is how the airplane ended up on the runway at about 9:15 this morning. The propeller appeared to have been damaged during the crash. Firefighters responded to the scene. No word on how many people were on board, but were told everyone walked away without injury. The damaged plane was eventually hauled into a hangar.
And at LAX, a Southwest Airlines flight had to make an emergency landing after its wing flaps malfunctioned. This is a live look at LAX tonight. Southwest Flight 1704 was traveling from Sacramento to Burbank yesterday. During approach to Bob Hope Airport, the flaps malfunctioned and the flight was diverted to LAX because it has a longer runway. Flaps on a plane impact its lift and speed. An airline spokesman says there are backup systems in place. The airline worked with the 81 customers on board to get them onto other flights or ground transportation.
In Pennsylvania, an all-out search is intensifying tonight for a survivalist and suspected cop killer believed to be hiding out in the wilderness. Today, authorities recovered a weapon and believe they're hot on his trail. ABC's Karen Travers has the latest.
Eric Freen has eluded capture for 8 nights, but Pennsylvania State Police say they're hot on his trail and have found more clues.
They were recovered, whether they were dropped or were left that we believe he had with him at the time of this shooting.
The 31-year-old survivalist is the focus of a massive manhunt. Freen, the second most wanted man in the country, is the only suspect in the ambush of this state police barracks in northeastern Pennsylvania. A trooper was killed during a barrage of gunfire.
The suspect is still considered armed and dangerous.
Police are focused on a heavily wooded area, about 250 square miles, where residents are on edge.
Helicopter again. That's all you hear, on and off, all day long, and then at night it intensifies.
Some say they're arming themselves with whatever they can until police say Freen has been captured.
Right now, I have a machete.
Many are now using an app that lets them listen in on police scanners.
I wanted to know what was going on because they don't give enough information.
Police said there's no indication that Freen's a threat to the general public.
I believe he's had every opportunity to harm others if he had chosen to do so. His fight is with law enforcement.
A fight they say Freen has been planning for a long time.
I do believe that he has been surveilling the station for an extended period of time, and I do believe that he has made extensive preparations.
Police say they recovered a rifle that Eric Freen was carrying, but they don't know yet if it was a gun he used in the shooting. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
The Secret Service is pledging to review how an armed Iraq war vet made it through the front door of the White House and got inside just one flight of stairs away from the president's living quarters. ABC's Pierre Thomas has the latest from Washington, D.C.
Today, signs of increased security around the White House less than 48 hours after the unthinkable happened.
Everybody back in the park.
An armed man carrying a 3.5-inch folding knife in his pocket not only jumped the 9-foot White House fence, but ran 100 yards across the lawn and made it inside one of the most secure buildings in the world.
How anyone, especially in these days of ISIS, and we're concerned about terrorist attacks, someone could actually get into the White House without being stopped is inexcusable.
Critical questions remain. Why weren't dogs used to impede him? Why couldn't agents responding from the perimeter of the White House tackle him outside? And why was the front door unlocked?
Everybody out right now. Go.
In court, we learned more about the suspect, Omar Gonzalez, 42, who spent 13 years in the Army, including time in Iraq. The past 3 months, he was homeless in D.C. And according to the criminal complaint, Gonzalez may have mental problems. Despite the breach, the president, who had left only minutes earlier, says he still has full confidence in the Secret Service.
The Secret Service has ordered an internal review to find out how this could have happened. Gonzalez goes to federal court today to face charges of unlawful entry while carrying a deadly weapon. Pierre Thomas, ABC News, Washington. A TB scare at a hospital in Texas, and hundreds of infants may have been exposed to the potentially deadly disease. The El Paso Department of Public Health announced that more than 700 infants came in contact with tuberculosis at a local hospital. Officials say from last September through August of this year, a hospital employee was working with an active case of TB in the postpartum unit and the newborn nursery. Letters have been mailed to parents for their babies to be screened.
An odor advisory is in place for the Coachella Valley until midnight because of elevated levels of hydrogen sulfide. That's the gas that smells like rotten eggs. The gas levels were detected downwind near the Salton Sea. The state standard for outdoor levels of hydrogen sulfide is 30 parts per billion over 1 hour, while the levels in that area today were detected at 36 parts per billion. So if the winds pick up, some areas may smell the gas. The gas is said to be produced by the breakdown of organic material by bacteria in the lake.
Not fun. Jonathan Novak is in for Danny Romero tonight. He joins us now with a first look at our forecast.
That's the one way to sum that.
That is fun.
Not fun. Yeah. Good news. I don't think we'll have any winds to blow that smell around. Live HD camera in Burbank. Things are looking good. It is nice outside tonight. 71 in Burbank. Temperatures today were below average, actually. We head to Long Beach to the coast, still around 70 degrees. The last few days have actually been pretty nice with temperatures below average. 68 at the airports right now. And temperatures elsewhere, you saw Wrightwood just updating. Your current temperature, 61 degrees. 72 in Riverside, over in Oxnard. Good evening. Ojai sharing 66 for your current temperature. We have low pressure that is pulling away from the area. That was our weather maker the last few days, now bringing a lot of rain to portions of Nevada. You can clearly see that spinning counterclockwise as it moves up to the northeast. What happens behind it? Well, temperature's going to be warming back up, folks. Day planner for tomorrow starts you off in the mid-60s. It gets you to 80 by noontime in downtown, which is already warmer than what our high was today in the afternoon. So, yes, it is going to heat up. Temperatures, in fact, are going way up in that 7-day forecast. I'll tell you how hot it gets coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Jonathan. Some uninvited visitors stirring things up in one Southland neighborhood.
Yeah, Mama Bear and her 2 cubs climbed up a tree into someone's backyard in Bradbury today, catching the attention of both residents and animal officials. Eyewitness News reporter Melissa McBride has the story.
A mama bear and her 2 cubs made their way over fences and climbed up trees in residential neighborhoods. The trio was first spotted just before 8 o'clock this morning in Duarte. Then they moved over to Bill Fujioka's backyard in nearby Bradbury.
It's nature. This is where we live. We live by the mountains. We see bears. We see a number of animals around here.
The Department of Fish and Wildlife says the cubs appear to be less than 3 months old and are underweight. Their mother also didn't look healthy.
The mom's very small herself. I was actually kind of shocked to see how tiny she was, and her cubs are probably less than 10 pounds. So the issue is she's not going to outrun them. She's going to stay with them. So they're going to run just a little bit, find a tree, take a nap.
I'm just hoping that bears are okay. They said she seems to be ill, dehydrated, looking for food, and they're going to try and move her up to the mountains.
Wardens say the drought and recent heat wave are making it harder for bears to find food and water in the forest, so they're more likely to venture into residential areas.
There's pools, there's orange trees, avocado trees, garbage. So a lot of these are already garbage bears. They teach it to their young, and it's just a cycle that goes after year.
The mama bear and her cubs remained in a tree obscured by branches for several hours, but at about 4 o'clock they made their way down, hopped the fence, and went back to the forest. Reporting in Bradbury, I'm Melissa McBride, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Still ahead on Eyewitness News, marching for action.
People turn up in droves, taking to the streets to demand something be done to combat climate change.
Plus, dozens of structures destroyed and flames still growing. We get a check of the massive King Fire burning in Northern California.
Covering Lancaster, Garden Grove, Rancho Cucamonga, and all of Southern California, this is Eyewitness. Eyewitness News.
Marches were underway today around the world demanding action on climate change. This was the scene in New York City where thousands took to the streets. The international protest comes 2 days before a climate change summit at the United Nations. More than 120 world leaders will attend the meeting, including President Obama. The goal is to reach a new global climate treaty by the end of 2015. Among the marchers today, actor Mark Ruffalo.
Why is it important for you to be here today and lend your name to this?
Because of my kids, who I love dearly, and I see the world changing very quickly already. And I want to see them, I want to do my best to give them the best world that they deserve to have, and that I was fortunate enough to come up into.
An estimated 10,000 people took to the streets in Melbourne, Australia. These protesters are demanding action from the Australian government, which just got rid of a carbon tax created by the previous administration.
Jonathan Novak joining us right now. It's going to warm up around here as well. Not as bad as last week, right?
Right. That was a
warmer than what we've seen the last 2 days.
That was a heat wave to remember, unfortunately.
Yes.
This one, not so much. Not really a heat wave, actually, but temperatures are going to be warming up back above average, okay? So, did you like today? Yeah? It was fantastic? I know. It was perfect to me. They liked it, trust me. We talked about it earlier. I'm Megan Doppler, 7,000 HD forecast here. Let's get into it. We have a time lapse. Hey, did you get to the beach? I did not. Clearly, from my complexion, it's pretty obvious. But a lot of people did enjoy the weather down at Laguna Beach today. And as we go through the next few days, temperatures will go up. Definitely going to be beach weather, but a little toasty. Look at that live Megan Doppler 7,000 HD. We're up to the north now. This is the area of low pressure that has kept us relatively cool with that onshore flow now up around Nevada and bringing some showers and storms to that portion of the country. For us, though, live sweep heading around, and it's dry tonight. In fact, it's going to stay dry, but the marine layer has moved in once again tonight, and it will be in place tomorrow morning. This is showing you the low cloud cover over the last several hours coming back into play. Today, it was 79 in downtown. Normally, we're at 82, so it was below average, but that will change. And the marine layer will also change. A couple of factors here we just looked at that will be swapping places, if you will, in the forecast. 69 right now in downtown. Let's take a little tour here. 68 at the airport. 74 in Van Nuys, where temperatures were also at or below average in the valley today. It is 73 in Ontario and a warm Palm Springs, 92. So here is that area of low pressure. Now look to the south. See this arc right here? This is high pressure to the south of it, wants to get into Southern California, and will be able to do so as that low lifts away. Let me show you that very clearly here in the future scan. This shows you the pattern in the atmosphere, and watch this low as we go through tonight into tomorrow. Lift to the northeast. This little arc right here in the atmosphere, that's high pressure, and then it builds in even stronger on Tuesday, and then even stronger on Wednesday. What does that mean? Each day, we're going to be warming up a little bit more than the day before, all the way through Wednesday. And then we start looking ahead in the second half of the forecast to this big trough of low pressure will cool us back down later on. So for tonight, clouds are moving back in late, mild temperatures, and then we are heating up tomorrow. Temperatures back at or maybe even above average in some spots. 83 is just above average in Los Angeles. Lower to mid-90s in the IE77, Redondo Beach. 81, Mission Viejo. Here's that 7-day forecast. LA Metro and Orange County. Powered up by AccuWeather. 94 on Tuesday, about the same on Wednesday, which will be the hottest 2 days of the forecast before things start cooling back down, especially Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. In fact, by Saturday, we're back cool again. And then the mountains looking really nice. Mid-70s for a couple of days, but check it out by Friday in through Saturday and Sunday both. Very cool weather. 60 for a high on Saturday and Sunday, and then the high desert forecast looking good. Mid-90s on Tuesday and Wednesday, cooling things back down into the 80s. Good forecast. It's not as hot as before, but we are definitely warming up, guys. And we're going to have another check of that forecast coming up in a few minutes. Back to the desk.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you. Right now, 17 fires are burning in 5 different states. The most dangerous is the King Fire, burning in Northern California. As flames continue to grow, ABC's Aditi Roy checks in with the teams on the front lines.
The stubborn flames rip through the steep terrain of Northern California's El Dorado National Forest. The blaze now 82,000 acres and growing over the weekend, forcing 3,000 to flee their homes.
People are worried.
Our highest priority now in this area is to continually assess when residents can come back in here.
The wildfire out-muscling 5,000 firefighters. The blaze just 10% contained, leveling 30 structures, including 10 homes.
Right now, the biggest challenge that we have with this fire is the terrain. that the fire is burning in and the area. The fact that the fire is so far away from a lot of super populated areas.
You can even see the plumes of smoke from space, tankers dropping more fire retardant than on any other fire in history. A record-setting 450,000 gallons of what's called red slurry, water and fertilizer with red dye, leaving many homes shrouded in pink dust.
And that was ABC's Aditi Roy reporting.
An emotional day in Colorado as thousands turn out to honor fallen firefighters from the U.S. and Canada. The crowd gathered in Colorado Springs for the 28th annual Firefighter Memorial. The names of 168 men and women who died fighting fires or from the chronic illnesses connected to their work were added to the tribute wall. Bells tolled for each of the fallen, among them 19 members of an Arizona fire crew who died fighting a fire last year.
They were family men, and they loved to joke around and have a good time.
For a department our size to lose over a quarter of our personnel was an enormous loss for the community, for the fire service, for everyone.
We got 10 widows, 16 children, and over 200 extended family members.
The International Association of Firefighters just announced that it will pay $4 million to renovate the memorial, including the addition of about 3,000 names of fallen firefighters dating back to 1918.
All 5 inmates who escaped from a Central California jail have now been caught. Deputies captured that final suspect in the town of Fairmead today after receiving an anonymous tip. The other 4 inmates were caught last night, also following an anonymous tip. The men were being held in the Madera County Jail on various charges, including attempted murder and armed robbery. They escaped Friday night. Authorities say they still don't know how they got out.
You've heard the saying, the customer is always right. Well, one restaurant owner doesn't agree.
Still ahead, how the San Francisco man is dealing with hard-to-please customers.
Plus, a pastor pulls a gun on a brazen package thief and catches an unlikely criminal in the act.
Covering Costa Mesa, Pasadena, Camarillo, and all of Southern California. This is Eyewitness News.
He's a pistol-packing pastor who put an end to a stealing spree in his Texas neighborhood, and now he's speaking out for the first time.
Fed up with his packages being stolen from his front porch, he set up a trap and busted a suspect who's now in custody. Here's Pastor Benny Holmes, gun in hand, capturing the alleged thief. For months, his packages have been disappearing from his home in Texas. A security camera caught the same person stealing them twice. The pastor put out a pair of packages and waited patiently for the thief to show herself.
The only way to get her attention was a gun in her face and barking out on the ground, "I'm gonna shoot you."
What did she tell your husband?
She said, "I'm looking for my dog." He said, "You found your dog, Bow Wow."
He looked like Denzel Washington a little bit, right? Police say the thief is a 52-year-old grandmother, and when she was caught, her 2 grandchildren were in the backseat of her car. They say the pastor is the neighborhood hero because a search of the woman's home turned up lots of other stolen stuff. The items are now being returned to their owners.
How wow. A San Francisco restaurant owner says he's fed up with what he calls hard-to-please customers. The owner of So Restaurant posted a sign on his door stating he does use MSG, doesn't believe in organic food, and doesn't care about gluten-free, but in much more colorful language. He says he posted the sign after several customers made back-to-back demands. He later posted a new sign asking hard-to-satisfy customers to just go somewhere else.
A ton of places to go around and get gluten-free or non-MSG, and there's no reason to turn around and start going after a guy trying to run a business.
Is that guy in San Francisco or New York?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Owner and chef James Chu says the final straw, which led him to temporarily close last week, happened when a customer refused to pay because he didn't enjoy the meal. Critics say Chu's stance could cost him some business.
He's from San Francisco.
I'm guessing he knows it's going to. No.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Not good.
Up next, a straight-A college sophomore vanishes in Virginia.
The latest on the search for Hannah Graham and what her parents are saying in their first public statement.
Plus, a Good Samaritan hurt while trying to help a victim in a deadly motorcycle crash in Orange County.
A shooting between 2 rival biker gangs leaves 1 person dead and 2 others injured. I'm Darsha Phillips, and I'll have those latest details just ahead.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 8:30 p.m. on LA56.
A man is found critically injured after crying for help near the Santa Monica Pier. He tells police he was run over by a vehicle on the sand. Investigators say they don't know what happened, and they're not even sure if the injured man was even hit by a vehicle.
2 arrests in the stabbing death of a Pico Rivera man. Sheriff's investigators say one of the suspects is the man's own 17-year-old son. 50-year-old Sergio Gutierrez was found badly injured inside his Oak Lawn Lane home yesterday. He died at a hospital. Today, Montebello police arrested his son and another suspect, 18-year-old Jesus Adame.
Some furry visitors showed up uninvited in Bradbury today. A mama bear and her 2 cubs climbed a tree in a woman's backyard. Those bears were later seen making their way north back toward the forest. Authorities say the drought and recent heat wave are making it harder for bears to find food and water. Good evening again. I'm Jory Rand.
And I'm Giovanna Lotta. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56. 2 rival motorcycle gangs shoot it out on a freeway near Corona. 1 person is now dead and 2 others are wounded. Eyewitness News reporter Darsha Phillips spoke with witnesses at the scene.
Shots were fired on the 15 South, believed to be because of a feud between 2 biker gangs, Hell's Angels and the Mongols.
I heard a bunch of motorcycles, coming from down there. You can hear them, off that freeway. And then I heard a bunch of shots, and I mean a bunch. Boom, 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 like that. Then I saw the motorcycles just flying down here on the on-ramp.
1 person was killed and 2 others were injured. Investigators are not saying much about the incident, but witnesses believe the shooting may have occurred on the El Cerrito on and off ramp.
When I turned right on this intersection, I saw cars there, and I saw 2 guys laying on the floor. When I knew it was a shooting, I was thankful that I didn't pass by earlier.
1 woman stopped here at this intersection to help 2 people who were injured in the shooting. She did not want to be identified on camera for fear of retaliation.
One of the people at the scene had spoken out and said that he had been shot. The guy that was laying face down on his face had been shot.
The shooting shut down the 15 South for hours, backing up traffic for miles. Nearby residents are still pretty shaken up and say they knew the 2 gangs had problems in the past, but never thought it would go this far.
I had just been telling my family that nothing like that really occurs here in Corona, that it's really a safe place to live. Out of nowhere, this happens and takes place, and everybody around the area was actually really shocked.
Oh, they have them all the time. They have the Bongos and the Hell's Angels. They have them all the time, and why they shoot each other is beyond me.
In Corona, I'm Darsha Phillips, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
An arrest is made in the murder of a Palmdale woman. That woman was stabbed to death yesterday on the 38,700 block of 3rd Street East. Now, deputies say they've arrested the victim's boyfriend, 36-year-old Jose Martinez. Witnesses told investigators the 2 had been arguing. The victim's name has not been released. Martinez is being held on $1 million bail.
A lot of questions in a violent wrong-way crash in Duarte. The CHP says a driver was going east on the westbound lanes of the 210 freeway near Mountain Avenue late last night. The driver slammed into several other vehicles. Witnesses say as many as 10 vehicles may have been involved. 4 people were rushed to the hospital, 3 in critical condition. The wrong-way driver was arrested.
An ambulance and a car crashed head-on in South Los Angeles, sending 3 people to the hospital. Police say the car crossed into oncoming traffic, hitting the ambulance at 11 o'clock last night at 60th Street and Western Avenue. 2 paramedics and the driver of the car were all taken to the hospital, but appeared to have only minor injuries. Firefighters say they believe a 3rd car that left the scene may have also been involved. The cause of that crash is still under investigation.
A motorcyclist is killed in a crash and a Good Samaritan is injured while trying to help. It happened just before 1 o'clock this morning on the southbound 55 freeway in Santa Ana. The motorcyclist rear-ended a vehicle and went flying onto an adjacent surface street. The Good Samaritan pulled over to help. While that person was on the phone with police, he tried to cross the street. That's when a driver struck both the Good Samaritan and the motorcyclist. The Good Samaritan suffered serious injuries but is expected to survive. The driver was arrested for DUI. And in Orange, another motorcycle crash, this one after a police pursuit. It happened around 1 o'clock this morning. Officers say the motorcyclist was trying to get away when he came upon an accident scene and ended up hitting a car. No one was injured. No word on why the motorcyclist was running from police or what charges he's now facing.
Still no sign of a Cal State Northridge student who vanished last week. 23-year-old Abdullah Al-Qadi hasn't been seen since Wednesday. Police say they traced his cell phone to Beaumont in Riverside County before it was shut off, but his family says he has no ties there. Al-Qadi is from Saudi Arabia. He sold his car on Wednesday, but police say they don't believe there's a connection between that sale and his disappearance.
In Virginia, hundreds of volunteers continue their search for missing college student Hannah Graham. Tonight, we hear from her distraught parents for the first time, giving a heartfelt thanks to those volunteers and begging for information that might bring her home. ABC's Bazi Kanani reports.
Tonight, the parents of missing 18-year-old college student Hannah Graham breaking their silence.
This is every parent's worst nightmare.
Her mother clutching a childhood toy belonging to her daughter.
And I appeal to anybody who knows anything, please help us.
Their desperate plea as police tonight zero in on a person of interest. This man, 32-year-old Jesse Matthew, police say captured here on surveillance video the night Graham disappeared.
I believe Jesse Matthew was the last person she was seen with before she vanished off the face of the earth. Because it's been a week and we can't find her.
Police saying they have evidence that Matthew left with Graham after buying her drinks in a downtown Charlottesville bar, asking the public to take a close look at Matthew's car, looking for any eyewitnesses.
Police say Matthew voluntarily came here to the police station this weekend, but spoke only to an attorney. They say he then drove away so fast, officers issued an arrest warrant for reckless driving.
Tonight, police are looking for Matthew as hundreds of others search for clues.
Thanks for being here. Let's find Hannah.
Volunteers hoping to find something to help reunite a family. Bazi Kanani, ABC News, Charlottesville, Virginia.
Tensions are high right now along Syria's border with Turkey. That's because an estimated 100,000 Syrian Kurds have crossed into Turkey to escape the advance of ISIS troops. In recent days, Sunni-backed militants have seized dozens of villages in northern Syria while the refugees are crossing over into Turkey. Hundreds of Kurdish fighters have been going in the other direction, crossing from Turkey into Syria to fight those extremists.
Pope Francis is now headed back to the Vatican after a day trip to Albania. The Pope greeted the faithful and held a mass in the mostly Muslim nation. He called Albania, which has small Catholic and Orthodox communities, a model of peaceful coexistence. The pontiff urged Muslims and all religious leaders to condemn Islamic extremists who pervert religion to justify violence, saying, quote, to kill in the name of God is inhuman. It's been decades since a pope last visited Albania.
Much more news still to come here on Eyewitness News on LA56.
The Maze Runner dominated the box office this weekend. We'll get a look at what other movies brought out the crowd.
The iconic Ford Mustang is still celebrating its 50th birthday. I'm car specialist Dave Coons. Consumer Reports has gotten an early drive of the upcoming 2015 Mustang, and they look back at that first Mustang that they tested 50 years ago. I'll have the story coming up.
Jonathan Novak in for Danny tonight. Hey, there's that big area low pressure that's kept us cool, and there it goes. You know what that means? Temperatures going up in your 7-day forecast. Stick around.
Governor Jerry Brown has signed 6 bills into law to strengthen California's electric vehicle market. One bill grants free or reduced rates in toll lanes for clean air vehicles. Another requires commercial and residential property owners to approve installation of an electric vehicle charging station by renters. There will also be incentives to increase the availability of zero-emission vehicles in low-income communities. Earlier this month, California surpassed 100,000 plug-in electric vehicles sold. The state aims to have 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles on the road by 2025. The governor also signed into law a bill that promises to make California a more bike-friendly state, but it's going to cost drivers a few extra bucks. It allows cities, counties, and regional park districts to add an annual vehicle registration surcharge of up to $5. The money will be used to help build new bike lanes and trails. The fee can be charged until the year 2025.
Ford is looking to once again turn heads, releasing the 2015 Mustang. Our car specialist Dave Coons teamed up with Consumer Reports to find out how it performs on the test track, all while looking back at the history of the iconic car.
Terry Goodman always wanted a 1965 Mustang. She feels the iconic car is a great piece of American history and really fun to drive.
Every day in that Mustang is a happy day. You just feel good in it, no matter what's going on in your life.
Over 1 million Mustangs were sold in its first 2 years. It created a new car segment defined by an affordable entry price and a unique style with a long hood and a short deck. The simple rear-drive car could be equipped from mild to wild. This is the 65 Mustang that Consumer Reports tested 50 years ago. It was priced at under $2,500.
The Mustang was a huge hit, but equipped with a 101 horsepower 6-cylinder engine on the first Mustang we tested, it took a whopping 16.8 seconds to get to 60 miles per hour. That's really slow. The following year, we tested a 289 cubic inch V8. Needless to say, that was much faster.
Now, Consumer Reports has taken the 2015 Mustang out on its test track. A lot's changed in 50 years, including a sleeker design, a more powerful V8 engine, and this optional 4-cylinder turbocharged engine.
Finally, there's an independent rear suspension. That was something that was conspicuously absent from the Mustang for quite a long time.
Once the 2015 Mustang goes on sale this fall, Consumer Reports engineers will conduct their usual full battery of tests. Of course, the entire 50 years haven't been rosy for the Mustang. There was the Mustang II of the 1970s during the oil crises. Those aren't remembered very fondly, but Consumer Reports says the car kept getting better and better over the years. In fact, they've been recommending the Mustang every year since '08. Dave Coons, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
There's much more news to come right here on Eyewitness News on LA56.
Up next, SpaceX Dragon blasts into orbit. Why this launch is making history.
Plus, the Super Bowl rematch goes down to the wire in the Pacific Northwest. Highlights between the Broncos and Seahawks ahead in sports.
And we have liftoff of SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket and Dragon.
Just a spectacular sight over the skies of the Kennedy Space Center in Florida early this morning. The SpaceX Dragon successfully launched into orbit atop the Falcon 9 rocket. The unmanned capsule is packed with supplies for its Tuesday docking with the International Space Station. On board, the first 3D printer in space, 20 mice meant for scientific experiments, and a device to measure the winds on the Earth's ocean. So really, it's not unmanned.
No. NASA is back at Mars. The Maven spacecraft arrived at the red planet tonight after a 442 million mile journey that began nearly a year ago. The Maven will not land on Mars. The spacecraft will instead orbit the planet in order to study its upper atmosphere. Scientists want to learn how Mars went from a warm, wet planet to the cold, barren place it is today. India also has a spacecraft heading to Mars. It's expected to reach Mars in the next couple of days.
I was
back
wondering
here on
that
Earth.
as well. Yeah. How did that happen?
That's cool. By the way, it's kind of depressing that we're seeing mice manning spacecrafts. Only a matter of time before they
take over the news.
Squirrels doing the news or something.
I thought that's where you were going with that.
It's already happening. Thank you.
We reached those days. When were we hired, Jonathan? I think that's when it kind of started. I don't know what that means.
Weather time. It's all right. Don't worry about it. I get it. Outside, it was a beautiful day today. I think I saw there's a training program for it. Meteorology for mice. Mice, and it's actually pretty difficult. It's pretty much most of the classes that we took there. Live HD camera in Burbank. Let's move on from that. All right, today's highs were pretty much below average for everybody, although Burbank's 81 below average, Lancaster 89 at average. So you're either there or cooler than you normally would be. Woodland Hills 87. I mean, compared to what we had earlier this week, it was just a beautiful last few days, but it's going to start warming up again. Temperatures can't stay like this forever. 71 in Burbank, though. Nice evening. 69 in downtown Los Angeles. And Riverside, good evening. 72 for you at the moment. It is 69 in Temecula. Big Bear, nice, comfortable. 58 degrees. And we're looking up to Santa Clarita. Good evening to you. 68 degrees. For you. This is taking you back this morning to the afternoon for the visible satellite imagery, and you see where the marine layer had pushed in pretty far today. It's going to push in again tomorrow, but not as deep and not as persistent. And as we go through Tuesday and Wednesday, it really won't be that much of a factor, except right at the coast, because the low pressure area that's brought us that onshore flow the last several days is getting out of here. Behind it, high pressure that will build in to the south-southeast, and that's going to mean temperatures warm up. In fact, you can really see it here. The future scan Monday into Tuesday. See this little arc? That's a ridge of high pressure building in on Monday, and then you see it amplify here on Tuesday, and then even more on Wednesday. So each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, temperatures are going up, and then after that we look to that pressure, that area low pressure up to the west. That's a trough that's going to dig in Thursday through the weekend. Coolest way down. But tonight, very pleasant. Clouds later on at the coast. Mild temps. Temperatures tomorrow looking good. Temperatures are starting to warm up, in fact. 90 in Northridge, 83 Los Angeles, lower 90s in the IE, 81 Inglewood, and 72 at Big Bear. Here is that 70 forecast. LA Metro, Orange County. We're into the mid to upper 80s for Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll cool down a little on Thursday, but a big drop on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the first half of the forecast, a warm up, and then cool down after that. Valley's IE hot on Tuesday and Wednesday, mid-90s to the upper 90s in some spots, and then a big drop on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with that next trough, a low pressure moving in. The mountains, fantastic through Thursday, but then look at next weekend, 60 and 59 respectively on Saturday and Sunday with lows in the 30s. Woo, enjoy the next few days. It's going to be really nice. High pressure, high desert. High pressure building in for you. Mid-90s on Tuesday and Wednesday before you cool down next Friday. We have more of the forecast on ABC7 at 11. Tune in for that. See you guys then.
Thank you, Jonathan. New word about how NFL star Ray Rice plans to argue he should be allowed to play again. The Ravens running back was sidelined after that videotape surfaced showing him hitting his wife in an elevator. As ABC's Ryan Smith reports, it now appears the core of his defense will be that the tape doesn't tell the whole truth.
Tonight, sources telling our sister network ESPN Ray Rice will appeal his indefinite NFL suspension by arguing in part that the league's decision came after watching an edited videotape that didn't show the full story. These sources also claiming that the infamous video of Ray Rice punching his now wife Janae in an elevator was whittled down and condensed. It's been almost 2 weeks since the tape leaked on TMZ, that website posting the full video along with a shorter one.
The punch is as clear as it could be, and I'm not quite sure what we could hear about editing of that would change the nation's perception of what happened in that elevator.
Rice has apologized publicly. On game day, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell at MetLife Stadium earlier this week apologizing for the way the league handled the Rice case.
I got it wrong on a number of levels, from the process that I led to the decision that I reached.
Now Rice, persona non grata. This weekend, thousands of fans lining up for hours to trade in Ray Rice jerseys. Tonight, the scandal that started the league's domestic violence controversy, far from over. Ryan Smith, ABC News, New York.
Now we move to the games themselves as we welcome Kurt in for a look at sports.
Yeah, some great action, and this is exactly what the NFL wants, is to talk about football. Did you see the great game today between the Broncos and Seattle? If you're wondering, how do you get past Peyton Manning and the Broncos, you don't let them touch the ball in overtime. Seahawks and Broncos game today is what most of us expected when they met up in the Super Bowl, an absolute thriller. The Broncos said this was not about a Super Bowl revenge game, just a test for this season. Well, straight to the fourth quarter, Hawks up by 5. Peyton Manning going for the win, but Cam Chancellor says, not on my watch. The pick, he gets them down into field goal range, and they made that for an 8-point lead. But Manning's headed to the Hall of Fame for a reason. He took the Broncos 6 plays, 80 yards, in 41 seconds, and that touchdown and the drive without a timeout. By the way, yeah, they got the 2-point conversion, but in OT, Russell Wilson made sure Manning never touched the ball. Marshawn Lynch delivers the game winner there. Seahawks take that thriller 26-20. San Francisco and Arizona battling for NFC West supremacy. First quarter, Colin Kaepernick at the helm, and watch the nice toe touch by Michael Crabtree right there, and it's 7-3. Who knew the Cardinals would come from 8 down? Drew Stanton starting for Carson Palmer the past 2 games. He's been terrific. He went to John Brown twice today. And yes, Arizona joins Philadelphia, and Cincinnati is the only 3-0 teams in the league, winning 23-14. Dodgers, meantime, finishing that 4-game set in the Windy City against the doormat that is the Cubs. And look at that swing by Matt Kemp. Boy, if he can keep doing that in October like he's been doing it in September, they've got a chance. Cubs didn't go away. It's 5-4 when Scott Van Slyke doubles down the line. And with the Giants coming into town for 3 tomorrow, the Dodgers win 8-5. Their magic number down to 3. They can clinch as early as Tuesday. As for the Angels, playing their final regular season home game today, Halos down 1-0 in the 6th. Albert Pujols, a nice single into left field. Here comes Chris Iannetta. He squeezes under the throw there from Texas. The Rangers have been horrible. Worst team in baseball, yet the best closer in baseball, Houston Street, just gave up a home run in the 9th to Ryan Rua, his first home run of the year. So if you're an Angel fan, you want Houston Street to get rid of that before he goes to the playoffs. And if you're watching Eyewitness News at 11, we've got one of the greatest pictures from inside the Angel clubhouse with all the rookie hazing. Don't miss it.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt.
New tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7, a woman found murdered in a local neighborhood who police have detained. And 3 Afghanistan soldiers disappear from a training exercise in Massachusetts. What military officials are saying about it, plus all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7.
Well, the Maze Runner brought in big bucks on its opening weekend.
Still ahead, we check out the winners at this weekend's box office.
The Maze Runner raced to the top of the box office this weekend. The young adult adaptation of James Dashner's sci-fi novel drew an estimated $32.5 million in ticket sales. It's a big success for 20th Century Fox, considering the movie itself cost $34 million to make and was released in a normally quiet month at the movies. The film is about a group of teenage boys mysteriously locked inside of a giant maze. The private eye thriller, A Walk Among the Tombstones, starring Liam Neeson, debuted $13.1 million. This Is Where I Leave You came in third. And No Good Deed, Dolphin Tale 2 round out the top 5.
And thanks for joining us for Eyewitness News at 8 here on LA56. We want to remind you the Dodgers are coming to KDOC this week.
That's right. You can catch the boys in blue right here on LA56 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. The games start at 7:10. Eyewitness News on LA56 returns on Thursday night at 8. So enjoy the Dodgers. And Eyewitness News will be back on Thursday.
Have a great night.